don't know that at any point that we thought that this was going to be life ending. I mean, we knew it was very serious, and we knew that it was getting progressively worse, not progressively better. So it was very scary as a family, to see a 15-year-old child, excuse me, a 14-year-old child. He turned 15 the week before he passed away. Go from a healthy kid to like just walking back and forth to the bus stop was too much. They diagnosed him with what they thought was bronchitis, treated him with antibiotics, with steroids, and with an inhaler. Things weren't getting better, so then the family doctor referred him to the pulmonologist at the Nunley Pediatric Clinic, who did allergy testing, did a pulmonary function test, and did chest x-rays. And as soon as she looked at the chest x-rays, she was able to tell from her expertise that Solomon had been vaping. And she asked him about it, and he openly admitted that he had been vaping. And they then switched all his antibiotics, his steroids, his inhalers to much stronger ones. Also started him on nebulizer treatments so that he was taking breathing treatments several times a day. He saw the pulmonologist on Monday, June 11th. They did a pulmonary function test at that time and also had him try and walk about 5 minutes. After about a minute and a half, he had to sit down because his breathing had become labored. And the CAT scan showed that there was fluid in 3 places on his lungs and surrounding his heart. He was supposed to see the cardiologist that following Monday because obviously they had concerns because it was affecting his heart. And then on that Friday, on June 16th, he collapsed and then ended up in the hospital on a ventilator. He openly admitted it to the doctor. He didn't try and deny it. We had no indication that he had been vaping. Neither his father or myself smoke. So there were no products in our house that he could get. It wasn't that it was something accessible to him. It was something he got through his friends. And teenagers are pretty good at hiding things. He was a healthy kid and played football last year, was in the weight room, was in the gym regularly. He couldn't be in the weight room. He couldn't go to the gym. He couldn't ride his bike. He couldn't play football with his friends. We did a complete 360. And kids don't believe that something like this can happen to them. Vaping started as a way to be safer than smoking and to help people quit smoking. And then it turned into something that teenagers did just to do. It wasn't that we had 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds trying to quit smoking. They did it because somebody else did it, and it tastes good, and it has these ridiculous flavors. I mean, and some of his friends had admitted they were vaping. We had encouraged parents to take their kids to the doctors and get chest x-rays, and make sure that nobody else ends up like Solomon. Their brains haven't developed completely and their bodies don't know how to react, and they're becoming addicted and not realizing they're becoming addicted. And how it leads to them smoking, how it leads to them experimenting with other drugs. And the same way people talk to their children about safe sex and talk to their children about not using drugs, and since the pandemic, how we talk to our children about being more cautious around people when they're not feeling well and washing their hands and covering your mouth when you cough and wearing a mask. And we need the schools to support us. We need our local officials to support us. We need other parents. When I was a kid, if I did something I wasn't supposed to do, one of my friends' parents, if they saw it, would call my parents. People don't do that anymore. Everyone's like, oh, not my kid, not my problem. Talk to your kids, talk to the doctors, have them do chest x-rays. Check your kid's backpack. Go in their room more. Look around in their room. Do you smell something that you don't recognize the smell to? Figure out what it is. And don't just have one conversation. You have to have repeated conversations. And, we have to get our kids to understand that we're trying to save their lives. We thought he would play football all the way through high school. He talked on and off about the military. He talked about jobs that he wanted to have. You know, we joked around about him having a family someday. None of those things are going to happen now. We have memories. We have memories. That's all we have now. People think that like we're exaggerating, or oh, this can't happen to my kid, or yes, is the death rate amongst kids vaping very low? Yes. But the rate of kids ending up in the hospital and the kids getting sick is on the increase, not the decrease.